Welcome to you all to twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. This is Stammer stream, manga podcast, and speech therapy combined. I'm your stammering host, Wensleydale Cheddar, here alongside your non-stammering hosts, Kastor UK and Dr. Nova. How are you guys doing this week?
It is cold.
Yeah.
Funny thing, it's not actually that bad in Canada. It's pretty decent right now.
I had to walk back to and from the library 3 times last night in like proper snow for England. It is very cold.
It hasn't snowed yet here.
No, I've got a cold inside of my flat. I don't know what's going on with my heating. Even so, we've got manga to talk about. And yeah, we've got our usual stuff. Shall we get right to it and move on to One Piece?
There is one thing I want to mention first, because I made an interesting discovery this week about something.
Okay.
And it's not a good discovery, but it's something that I found very amusing. Do you guys know the show Top Chef?
Vaguely. Google will tell me about it.
Yeah. So basically, it's this long-running American cooking show, probably the most successful one, at least in terms of actual good people coming from it, because Hell's Kitchen is successful, but fucking nobody comes from that show. There's nobody influential to the food world has ever come from Hell's Kitchen. But in Top Chef, they actually do. There's a lot of really famous people, and once in a while they bring old contestants back. And recently they brought back a contestant named John, who's one of my more favorite contestants. And I realize I don't get reality television in general. I don't get the investment. I don't really I don't watch any of the other ones. But I realize I'm actually way too invested, not in reality television, but in this one specific person. Because I was legitimately getting anxiety, worrying that they were going to get eliminated in the first episode. And I was like, no, they're going to get eliminated the moment they came back. Why? So, which is not a good thing to discover, because there's no, not only is there no way of affecting it, this all got filmed months ago.
The winner is decided. It's like everything has been done.
Yeah, so there's literally no point in me having this worry about it, because it's all done. I have no effect on it, but I'm so invested in this for some reason.
Yeah, I remember those old reality shows that had had you voting with with the text message. Who's supposed to be eliminated? Who's supposed to stay? God. It was so weird back then. Wow.
It's really hard to do with food, too, because you're just kind of like, I like that guy. I didn't taste what he made, though.
I saw none of the judges' clothes fly off. It was obviously a terrible dish. Yeah, it's... Actually, honestly, Food Wars is actually found a way to get the impression of, taste come across in a visual medium. That's quite impressive.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So speaking of Food Wars, wait, in Top Chef, does someone at any point make a chocolate chiffon cake?
It doesn't go well, but yes.
So, speaking of this, let's move on to One Piece, chapter 886. So, guys, is it just me, or does the cake look like a steaming anime turd?
Only no, because it hasn't got that weird point on top they always have.
Yeah, but...
And to be fair, all cakes look pretty awful until you cover them with frosting.
Yeah, but...
also true.
That was the part that kind of confused me, since... Okay, does the fact that it's not done yet mean that they're going to decorate it on the way?
I think so. I know you have to... From experience, I know you have to wait for a cake to cool before putting chocolate on it. Otherwise, all your lovely chocolate melts and falls off the cake.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's the usual way of going about it. I thought they were going a bit unorthodox. like, okay, we're going to transport the cake to Big Mom and then decorate it, which I'm sure it's going to go well with. Yeah, I'm sure she'll be happy to wait.
Big Mom, wait 2 seconds. One sec. I don't like the lattice work on this last part here. Give me a moment.
No, I fucked up the topping. Start again. Let's go back to the island.
Fuck it. Nom.
So, Sanji just becomes a perfectionist out of nowhere.
It's just like, we gotta redo the chiffon cake. Yeah, but she ate chiffon. Let's see what we can do. We'll make it work.
Since when were you under the impression that I didn't want you to eat chiffon first? Oh god.
This whole time. It seemed really necessary.
I had been wondering why chiffon had been included in this. It's like, okay, it's nice. Okay, I thought Sanji and Pudding could have made a cake, but okay. And it's just like, oh, we're bringing beige back into the story. After this chapter, I am 100% behind this.
Thank God we brought him back into the story.
Yeah.
This was great.
I'd give Chiffon more credit since it was established that she's needed that the chocolate chiffon cake is what they used to make together. She's had a lot of cool moments. One of which is in this chapter. The Capones are such a great family, aren't they? I didn't expect that.
Mm-hmm.
He is a delightful. I don't know if he's a villain. He's got too many redeeming features to be a villain. He is still a scummy person, and it's kind of great to say, is he a bad guy? I don't know anymore.
The whole family is just so much fun.
They are great, and their plan was, my entire backstory is that I would kill the leaders of other ruling families, and then just walk away laughing, not for their land or not for their resources, just because I liked killing them and testing myself. It's like, but you're so fun though.
And you're such a good father.
That's the great thing.
And such a good husband. It's great.
Is Beige the best father in manga, because they're normally terrible?
I don't think so, because he's still he's still just holding his baby in the middle of a battlefield, so it could be better. But
yeah, and he's risking his life to I don't know. One Piece has had quite a few good father figures.
Father figures, but not fathers. All of them have tended to abandon their kids and go to sea.
I mean, if Gold Roger was still alive, he might be a pretty cool dude.
Yeah.
And also if his son wasn't dead, I guess.
Wow.
So I just realized that as I said it.
But no, all the great father figures are because their actual father was a terrible person. Like one of the better father figures is Yasop, whose backstory still was he left his family to go to sea.
The sea.
Oh no, Yasop's an asshole.
Yeah, and he's still one of the better ones in One Piece.
Yeah, fair.
I guess the only other good ones are the kings. And it's just like, shit happened to my kingdom. I had to suffer through it while my daughter went out to do stuff.
I will say Vivi's father was pretty cool.
Yeah.
Rebecca sucked, but her dad was awesome.
Yeah, all these other fathers, it's like, shit happened that was beyond my control, but I've done my best since.
It's like, I was a toy.
I was a toy. And I was slightly more awesome as the toy than I was as a human, and I was awesome as a human.
Doflamingo's dad was pretty cool.
He did raise Don Flamingo, though. I think that's a point against him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he.
He also raised Rocinante, but yeah, Doflamingo was suggested to have been, kind of evil from the start.
I mean, he was a nice guy, but he didn't think jack shit through.
Yeah, just like,
Yeah.
oh, I think we should go and live in the land of the commoners. They won't have centuries of resentment against us. Now my protection is gone.
Yeah. I
Should we go
think
back?
that
Yeah, sorry.
it was just I think I might be hearing myself a little bit through someone else's mic.
I'll
I'm hearing myself. It might be you, Cheddar.
Okay, I'll try to turn it down. Is that better?
We'll let you know if we
Yeah.
hear through it again. But anyway, I'll tell you one thing that most of the fathers we've seen so far doesn't do, and that's snipe a dude in the face from 100 miles away with that pistol.
Do you know what's even better?
No.
I figured out. You know the scene when Oven gets hit by a cannonball, and then we get flashback to see it's Beige with a pistol. It's because his pistol is a cannon. It's his power that shrinks it. So when he fires it, it fires a cannon.
It's pretty awesome.
It's awesome.
Is his accuracy? Does that mean his accuracy is pretty much as good as Van Auger's?
And Usopp's. I think he's been set up as being like he's the captain that is the sharpshooter. Like Law was the captain that is the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's hard to say if he's as good because, and look, this is nitpicking, but like he's firing forward with no wind resistance because it's a cannonball.
He is firing from a moving ship, though.
Moving ship, moving forward right toward them, but kind of. I still think it's pretty.
It's
still
also,
impressive. It's still
one-handed
awesome.
Kid in other hand.
Oh no, that whole thing is awesome.
Yeah. Also, we have another father in this chapter, don't we? Because we somehow have the return of Pound. And it's hilarious and heartbreaking at the same time because Chiffron doesn't know who he is.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, but even so, Sanji, you know, kind of assists him behind the eyes of the public, which is a great moment, and yeah.
I just want to give credit to the guy who knows he's outclassed, who got beaten the shit out of before trying to get into this place, and is just literally like, I know I might die here, and goes in to still try and beat Oven because his daughter's in danger, and it's so good. Also, he's still comic relief, and I love how Oda can go from blend comic relief characters into serious moments.
Yeah.
Just go to that. Holy shit! I didn't know I was that strong. It's like everyone's like, "You're not that strong."
I'm so stoked that Sanji's idea of disguise is essentially covering his beard and putting on his glasses, though, while still keeping his trademark fringe and eyebrows intact. So great job, Mr. Prince. I'm sure you can Clark Kent your way through this.
Well, yeah. His disguises before have been, I'm gonna. So.
Yeah.
Also, he can apparently he's so fast now he can teleport, which I'm not gonna lie is kind of cool.
I'm thinking he kind of utilized his moonwalk technique into this, maybe. Yeah, and finally we have Luffy's wish to surpass Katakuri. That in my opinion gives this fight a lot more weight.
It's true. I'm still really confused as to like story-wise why this is happening because after the wedding everyone split up and said okay we're escaping the island. We then had a period of not much happening. Now everyone's coming back together again for another finale, and I'm not entirely sure what's going on.
I think this is when everyone's gonna start to meet up because, with the exception of Luffy, everyone's kind of at sea right now.
Literally.
That said, I'm hoping that this is building to something a little later down the line because I wasn't feeling it when the Luffy and Katakuri fight was happening, but arc fatigue is a real thing for me now.
I don't want this to build up for another climax of this arc because we had a climax of this arc and the wedding was awesome. And
Well, I on the other hand don't see this as folding action, so I wouldn't mind ending on another high note.
True. I'd like to see all of this come for a reason of not just here's some stuff we did to pay off later in this arc to draw out this arc, but here's stuff we added for later down the line.
Yeah, less of a and now check this shit out now. Now check this shit out now.
Yeah, I want Luffy to lose here, and I want Katakuri to be like the next step to like, okay, I need to be able to beat him, because if I can't beat him or his level, I won't be able to beat an emperor.
I think he may still win here, but yeah.
He may, but I'd be disappointed, honestly, because we've already seen Luffy beat someone.
I wouldn't, since maybe I would be a few chapters ago, but this chapter gives it a lot more kind of a lot more. There is a lot more that Luffy has to prove to himself, I feel like. And this is also a kind of a rare introspective moment for Luffy, and I like it for that. Yeah. And yeah, so maybe when it comes to story structure, you've got a fair point, but I still like this as an idea.
Yeah, it's just if he wins here in the long term, what was the point of the Cracker fight?
The point of the crack, I still love the Cracker fight.
The Cracker fight was great, but yeah.
I know.
I still say the point of the Cracker fight was to show that not only is Luffy strong and able to stand on the same level as some of these big people in the world, but he can't do it alone at times. That said, I will also be the first to admit that it could have been not I think it was done very, very well. I just personally think that beating Katakuri might still be a little out of his league and should probably be saved for a little later on. Yeah. Personally,
I think there has been another point to the Cracker fight to just show how much. How quickly Luffy processes eating, how much he is able to eat, and how quickly he processes that food, because it later pays off in the moment when Sanji gives him the lunch basket.
That's been a gag he's been doing for hundreds of chapters, though. That's just been a Luffy thing, that his metabolism can comedically go from stupidly fat to Luffy again.
Yeah, but it's never been treated seriously, and this kind of it's what you've said before about Pound, just mixing comic relief and then turning into a serious moment. Which I think the Cracker fight and the fallout later. This did it really well.
See, the thing, I had a different take on the Cracker fight, which was that Luffy at the moment is not able to beat the Emperor's lieutenants by himself. Had Nami not been there, essentially he had Nami there with him, and Nami had a hard counter to Cracker's power by being able to summon rain and to make his crackers soft and soggy. So he not only needed help from someone else, but he needed help from somebody else who had an elemental advantage.
No, I see your point, but I don't see him overcoming that limitation at the end of the arc as something bad when it comes to storytelling.
I really do, because he isn't trained. He's just got his ass kicked a couple of times.
Characters in One Piece never train, really. The same happened. Nothing happened between Water 7 and NES Lobby, really. When it comes to training, and they were completely overpowered by CP9, and then they could somehow defeat them. So
I took that more as fighting in Water 7. We're having a normal fight. Fighting in NES Lobby, it's just like, I can't lose here. I'm going to hit the limit of I might lose this fight and die, and keep on going because I can't lose here. Because a lot of them nearly died. Chopper brought out a thing that he essentially said, I'm going to reach a point where I'm more dangerous to my allies, but I can't not win here. Frankie got thrown off into a chasm and was fine with it, and only just happened to save himself. Luffy brought out a power that slowly kills himself, and he wasn't sure was even going to work to beat Blueno. And Sanji lost. And that was the one, because Sanji wasn't able to push himself against Caliphate. He wasn't able to push himself to the point of, against everything else I must win, and he lost. Nami had to go up and be like, I have to take you on now. All of them reached the limit of, I might die here, I'm fine with that, I'm going to keep on going. Which
you guys still hear me?
I could then.
Yeah.
Okay, because for some reason it's saying that I don't know what this means, but my RTC is disconnected. I'm not entirely sure what that means, but
I have no idea.
As long as you guys can still hear me, I guess it's fine.
Yeah.
So speaking of RTC,
yeah, that's kind of,
I don't know. I don't want to break up the discussion, but I don't think I have anything to add. So do we have anything to add, or shall we move on to Food Wars?
No, and I will happily debate Water 7 for about 3 days.
Okay then. So look forward to our special Water 7 NES Lobby podcast.
It's just me fanboying over the entire thing.
And I'll be just in a corner discussing the Luffy versus Usopp fights. Oh god, it was so good. It was so heartbreaking. I can't read this chapter without crying. So speaking of crying, let's move on to My Hero Academia. No. Let's do Food Wars first. So, Food Wars Shokugeki no Soma, chapter 241. So, we've had this standoff between Soma and Some a few times now, and you want to tell me that in the samurai metaphor world, they still haven't drawn their blades. So, given how much the Shokugeki, how much time has passed already, and that we're at the finish line of this series of Shokugekis, it's kind of funny to me. They just keep standing here. Okay, no. Will you draw your blade? No. Will I draw my blade? No.
It's more surprising to me that Soma is still somehow the protagonist, when we keep on getting more and more people with more compelling backstories than he does. Because honestly, this is I don't want Soma to win here. All he has to gain is just like, my friends won't get kicked out of this school. I don't give a shit about that. This guy fought for the sake of his mum to become...
I give a shit about that.
Yeah.
I want Alison Kurokiba to do something else in this manga.
No, that's why. I care about this guy proving himself that his mother's vain. I don't give a shit. They can go to a different cooking school.
Where? What, the fucking gonna go to Johnson and Wales or some shit? Come on.
What? I mean, how is he proving that in his duel against Soma, though? Also, I'm sorry, but also, what kind of... Doesn't him rebelling against the sushi establishment in Japan seem kind of anti-central to you guys?
I love the phrase rebelling against the Japanese sushi establishment.
Yes. And yes, that's also why I don't like he's a better protagonist. It's just he's also technically against Central. He's just working with them.
And I want to know the reason. Because why are you?
Honestly, I'm not questioning why these people are working with Central, because I don't think there is a reason. I think it was just like, I've got these cool characters. Oh shit, this arc's going badly. Massive tournament?
I do kind of get... We do know why certain characters are working with Central. We know reasons for... We can guess at reasons for Rindo And for Momo, we can just kind of get that she just kind of is that person who looks down on people in general.
Yeah, for most of them, it's just like status quo. Oh, I lose no power by joining. I don't lose the power I've got at this school by not doing what you say. Yeah, sure, that's fine. Just if I can continue with my research, cool.
Yeah, but in Soma, it's just on the survival, which I find interesting.
Yeah, I don't know how Soma's going to win against this, and I'm going to be annoyed, but I think he's going to because it's Soma, and it's just like, okay, I don't know how you beat the dish. I don't know why you beat this person because they're more likable than you are.
He's going to have to make some really... His food looks delicious.
Interestingly, he does give them sushi, and none of their clothes fly off. So I'm a bit confused. That it's just like, are we going for the samurai metaphor instead? Is the samurai metaphor meant to show it's better than clothes flying off? No. Or meta, did he sabotage his dish not to make it flavorful enough?
Maybe it's like freaking Satan's Simon. Is it instead of just the clothes the clothes flying off, the underwear just disintegrated?
And again, yeah, which is a really weird part of the meta, that his fundoshi unraveling was like a lower down version of him disrobing. It's just because the power level of cooking in the series is depicted by how many clothes fly off. This is an established power level in Soma, and I don't and using this, I don't know what this means. Has he surpassed the Super Saiyan of clothes flying off to samurai metaphors of Super Saiyan 2?
Oh, I'll tell you what's the weirdest kind of power gauge in the Soma. Because do you remember that somehow you can reach a point where your visualization of how good the food is by clothes flying off can be projected onto reality? Because that's what Soma did once.
Yes. I love this. The Nakiri family have the power not just to make their own clothes fly off when they taste something good, but to make everyone around them's clothes fly off when they taste something good. I am still waiting for the dish that's so tasty that it makes an entire stadium strip. People at the back who didn't taste it, who could barely see it, and yet looked down. Oh my, holy shit, my junk's out. That must have been the world's best dish.
That's really not going to be my first reaction, but maybe 10 reactions later, then I'll be like, oh yeah, and I guess that food was pretty good.
Soma's a weird fucking series.
Yes.
Yeah. What I'm kind of laughing at in this chapter is in the place where Somei's mom was working, the sushi artisans, they had a policy like that, saying, okay, woman's place is outside the kitchen. It kind of takes a special kind of sexism, doesn't it?
The kitchen.
That's so funny. That's great. Here's the thing. This isn't necessarily a belief that we can see like, oh, this is just like something contrived for the manga. There is kind of this unfortunate, I mean, it's in all cultures, but definitely when it comes to cuisine, it is very prevalent in Japanese culture, which is that it's almost even more than the Western world, it's an extremely male-dominated industry. It's ruined a little, and I like the sentiment. It's ruined a little bit by the fact that they're like, yeah, a woman can't possibly do this, and Somei's like, well, her male child, will prove to you that she can.
It would be perfect if he was a girl, but it's still pretty good.
It's a great out of context quote. This would be perfect if he was a girl.
Okay.
I'm not gonna lie, I have read many manga in which I could say that.
I'm
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna be back with you for a while because I can't stop shivering, so I need to fetch myself a blanket or
Yeah.
something.
Don't die on Mike Wensleydale. That's a bad idea.
Before you head out though, is there much more we want to say about Shokugeki no Soma, or?
Yeah, fine. We can move on to Nighteye.
Jesus.
My Hero Academia, chapter 161.
Yeah.
Take it away,
So
guys.
before we get to Nighteye, can we just comment on the fact that the third female member of the big three is useless, despite her own trying to explain herself? It's like, oh no, all my blasts couldn't have hit the big things. I'm useless against them. All my blasts that blast things and have big swirly patterns, so they're hard to aim. They don't work against big things, guys. I'm sorry.
What are they working? First of all, that's bullshit. Because
Yes!
the first time we got introduced to her was her using her blasts to take out a really big guy.
Two really big guys, and she was said to be specialized at taking out really big guys.
But if he's really big, I might have an issue.
This was like, this was annoying. It was like the shit cherry on trying to address it was the bigger problem, because it's like if you'd left it, I'd have just gone.
I should have said, speaking of sexism, My Hero Academia.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate, because it's unfortunately one of the better ones when it comes to utilizing its female cast, but this was not a good page for it, and it's the first one.
Speaking of guys, Suyu and Uraraka are totally important characters.
Thing is, as female characters, comparatively they are.
Yeah.
A lot of other series are far worse than My Hero, and how much.
Okay, so yeah, shall we talk about Nighteye now?
This has been such a happy episode.
Like, there were some nice moments that started off. Like, I like Rocklock with his wife running into the room, and it's just like he's just, because that's a nice side, and what I'm hoping My Hero addresses, the idea of you're married to a hero, you literally don't know if they're going to come home alive each night.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Also, it's great foreshadowing for the loss that Mirio is going to experience.
And it's great to see Tamaki, like just checking with Tamaki and Kirishima and everyone, particularly Tamaki, who's just kind of lying on the bed, just like, I'm in so much pain right now, but
I'm a mummy. I'm just going to
Kirishima is better. Just I'm a mummy.
Yeah. And it's going to Fat Gum just said, I'm hungry. It's like, that does explain. Yeah, no, you would be, because you're normally this huge guy. Just like, yeah, he's got an absurd appetite. This makes a lot of sense.
It's like, hey, Tamaki, want to go grab some grub? It's like, I'm pretty sure the guy just said my face was split open, so give me a little while.
Yeah, I don't remember that happening. I also don't remember him particularly beat up. Like, he had the boring fight where he was almost untouched.
Wait, was that a thing? I love Tamaki's fight.
He had the fight of, I'm going to take three of you on at once, and the power scale of this series is really weird at some point. The idea that I'm not a hero yet, I can take out three villains who are meant to be big deals.
Well,
I mean,
he was the big three was said to be better than many pro heroes.
Yeah,
right now, so
and he did almost die as well. So I don't really. I thought that was awesome, but that was just me.
My issue with that
fight.
My issue with that fight was just that I couldn't remember any of the villains. I can remember any of the 8 bullets that participated in that.
Yeah.
And I think scaling them down to 2 or just 1 would be better in.
Behold my villain group. That guy.
Thing is, that was essentially it. It was here. He could have said, "Here are my three lieutenants." The guy who's making the entire compound shift by his power, Chrono, the guy who is literally my right-hand man, and that dude whose body I took over and keep around for this specific purpose. The rest of them were useless. And the Tamaki fight, they'd been built up as the big powers that they'd have to get through to get to Chisaki, and then Tamaki took down 3 of them. Just like, okay, why was there this build up?
I mean, Rapper was awesome. I still remember Rapper. I still
Rapper
remember
was
his name.
great.
That was all good, but as much as I love talking about Tamaki and all the characters there's another character who gets injured, and
Nighteye's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm fine now.
Like that half-page shot of his, like the whole in manga when he's just like, I've got a hole through my body. I'm going to power through this. It's like, I've got a hole through my body. Here are all the tubes that are keeping me alive for the next few minutes.
It was certainly a moment where I was like, I wonder how Nighteye's do. Oh no.
Can you guys imagine? Can you guys imagine Asta or Urza in the same situation?
My thought was Toriko, because that dude, like, I think at one point he literally got half his stomach taken out, including where his spine would have been, and he powered through it. It was just...
I've had worse.
To be fair, that was like there was actually a point in Toriko where limb loss mattered, and that faded away after about 100 chapters.
So
this,
the build up to this moment is excellent. I mean, we start off, as we said, with a light-hearted mummy joke, then we touch on the relationship between Rocklock and his son, foreshadowing Nighteye's death as the father figure to Mirio. And then Horikoshi builds it up even further with the sidekicks and All Might, finally arriving at the climax of the chapter with Mirio's appearance. And
that was amazing foreshadowing, by the way. Just like, oh, here are the other characters in this arc. I wonder how they're doing. Never in my mind crossing, just like, this is everyone Nighteye now.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, with that moment, okay, shit's going real.
Yeah, and the scene they entered looks like people waiting outside a deathbed. It's powerful. And you don't realize it until you see the hole in his fucking chest.
Until you're reminded about the hole in his chest.
Yeah! Because I literally... The biggest problem I thought he literally had was, he lost an arm. Because it's just like, every time you saw him, he still had the spike of stone sticking through him.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was definitely moments like, you recover, you go like, I mean, I can't spit on this and make it better.
Yeah, I am literally magic, but my magic isn't this powerful.
I'm just wondering if it's gonna turn out that Uraraka just handled him badly when she levitated him, and that's
would
that's
be
why
the
he's
darkest
dead now.
ending to this thing possible.
She gets halfway in the air, and it's like, what do they say about wounds with things sticking out of them? Oh, you take them out really quickly, so you don't get infected.
You play them all around.
Alright, I gotta get Nighteye to this ambulance. Holy shit, the ice cream truck drops him on another spike.
I need to get Nighteye to the ambulance. Even though my powers cancel out gravity, he's really heavy. I can take out this spike of rock and make this an easier trip.
It's like, you can't bleed if there's nothing stabbing you. It's like, no, that's not how that works.
This is a really big splinter. I should take it out like other splinters.
We're being oh god. We're making fun of arguably the saddest chapter since like Ace died.
Even so, it ties in with the theme of laughter and smiling, which I'm glad we touched upon, and why it was so important for Nighteye. Okay, maybe the bit about everyone's wishes changing the future so that Deku would win, it was a little saccharine, but apart from that, the writing does an excellent job of what emotional reaction it wants to provoke from the audience. It's an excellent.
It's also one of the only times I've ever seen this sentiment work, because so often, like, it's the fairy tale thing, which is like every bad happens. Yeah, but fuck you, smile anyway. Like it's always. I get the sentiment, but always just kind of seem like, no, you're not allowed to be sad. But here it actually works. It ties in to the ideas of the heroes always having to smile. The people that they're protecting don't panic.
Yeah.
So it actually works here, which is amazing to me because so often the sentiment is just really cliched and really badly executed. But this is good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also amused me that we were joking around about Uraraka dropping him when honestly the thing I would take the piss out of this chapter for is Nighteye explaining his theory of energy. Because I still don't understand it. It's
I skipped over it completely. I was like, don't.
Yeah, it's just like, I think it was all about energy. A future that you strongly wish for, so you mean hope. So it's like, energy from wishing, so you mean hope. It's just like, Midori wasn't the only one. Everyone was giving him their energy. You mean hope. It's just like, why are you using the word energy here? It doesn't mean what you think it means. Like, I don't know if it's a translation or if it was like the original Japanese, but they mean hope, and that's a stronger sentiment.
I'm just gonna quote you on Twitter.
Maybe they're trying to make it sound a bit more active.
I'm just gonna paraphrase you on Twitter. Wishing energy from My Hero Academia isn't scientifically accurate. Take that.
Honestly, yep. You've heard me on Dr. Stone. It was partly me going just like, energy is the wrong word here. Energy is not the word you mean.
That's your way of getting rid of potential plot holes, to kill off your future seeing mentor in the most heartbreaking way possible. So take that,
Literally
everybody
the
who
plot
saw
hole for him.
death flags over Mirio, I guess.
It'd be so brutal if he dies next chapter somehow too. It's like, oh god.
No, do you know what would have been brutal is if he set up the thing of Mirio, you're going to be an amazing hero. Put his hands on his face and use his foresight. Mirio, you're going to be an amazing. Oh shit! I'm so sorry, dude.
It's like you with your incredible phasing powers.
Yeah, just like you'll power through and Oh yeah, no, I mean you'll totally be a good hero. Dying now.
That was actually a very nice when he did sort of use the last of his energy to look into Mirio's future. I thought that was really nice.
Yeah, and it was kind of a hazard, but because he would die unhappy if he saw his death.
Yep.
Which ties into the whole, series of selflessness that was really nice about this.
Yeah.
It's all just really good stuff, and there was certainly a moment where I was like, are they actually doing this? Because they're actually doing this. Oh my god.
Also, I was still debating whether he was alive, seeing as we have Eri, the person who can turn back time.
I mean, my theory is that they're going to use that to get Mirio his quirk back at some point. But we'll see. I'm not sure how much that literally extends to you have died. So.
I mean, it's not like she can resurrect people, but maybe healing. Yeah. What? Yeah. Why haven't they tried that?
Well, they haven't tried it because Eri's unconscious with a high fever right now.
Okay.
No, they haven't tried it because she literally can't control her powers. Accidentally kill anyone, and because they're still currently debating, which I'm waiting for to bring up later, the idea of just like, so we've moved her from a place where she's had no real human contact and was experimented on to a place where we can't allow her to have any human contact, and they're going to have to experiment on her. Just like, are we going to address this? That did we do a good thing here?
Again, I'm assuming that we might see a little less of Aizawa from now on, because I assume that that's going to be part of her therapy, is him being there.
That would be interesting, because we're also coming up to the end of the school year, so if they get a different teacher, that would be a good reason for him not to just be there at the school all the time.
Excuse me.
I want to know who they're getting as their homeroom teacher. I hope it's All Might, because that sounds funny.
Dying every single lecture.
Yes!
All right, today, kids, we're going to learn CPR. Why? You know.
Just in case.
Uh,
Or we go back to the writer's original light, the homeroom teacher, which would have made this a very different series.
wait, who was going to who was going to be the homeroom teacher?
Apparently, in the first draft, Aizawa wasn't a thing, and Midnight was going to be their homeroom teacher.
Oh.
So the sexy woman who's drawn to specifically be wearing BDSM out gear was going to be the 16-year-old homeroom teacher.
Nope.
All right then.
Nope.
So
That would have been a very different series.
So speaking of pedophilia, let's move on to We Never Learn. No, let's
Can I
actually.
please not be on the podcast that has that tangent title?
Shall we do Black Clover?
Yeah, let's move on to let's wait for Milo to be here. For us to do We Never Learn.
Milo isn't going to catch this podcast, I'm afraid.
No. I mean, let's save it for next time.
Oh,
We can do a
okay.
couple.
I was actually going to talk about it since I could actually read this chapter. Can you believe it?
Oh, sure. I thought I was going to be the only one. Yeah, sure. We can talk about it.
Okay.
I've read it. I just don't have much to say.
Okay. Anyway, speaking of My Hero being excellent, let's move on to something that's not. Black Clover chapter 145.
Oh, okay.
So.
Oh, you cannot argue that We Never Learn was excellent this week.
I was gonna say it wasn't bad. It was slightly creepy and fetishistic, but it was okay.
But
Okay.
I said Black Clover.
Yeah,
I know.
I know. I completely agree. This was a pile of shit.
So long story short,
Almost. It was a pile of shit until one particular moment, but for the most part, yeah.
Oh, really? I mean, long story short, they enter the base, wreck shit up. Both Emilio Leona and Denzel want vengeance for Fuego Leon, and the bloke who had a flashback wakes up. So that's the chapter. It's made no impact on me at all, and I feel like it should, probably. I don't even know what to complain about here. I just wish we could go back in time and relive the Langris fight again. That was good.
There is one thing I can complain about very specifically, which is at one point we see this woman tied up in a cave somewhere.
Yeah.
And then and I'm sitting here like, and then there's a voice like, "Do you know why you're here?" I'm like, "No, who the fuck is she?" And we see like, "Because you're a member of the Clover Kingdom." And I hate them, like, "Who the fuck are you?"
Who the fuck are you? We never find out because the next scene he's kicked in the face.
I don't even care that we never find out. We don't need reestablishment that the Eye of the Midnight Sun are assholes.
Can I also point out that again, they're trying the writer, the drawer, the writer, the mangaka is trying to do this is a fairy tale level fan service scene. His boobs don't make physical sense, and also the art.
His boobs.
I don't get it. Why does he keep pushing these creepy, jarring fan service scenes in when they're not even well drawn?
It's just so like, okay, maybe there are just a bunch of like weirdos in this group, but is this something that like the Eye of the Midnight Sun do often? Where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna grab some random person, monologue to them for a really long time, and then kill them.
It's fucking like I went on a massive rant when we had the Hot Springs episode where they literally looked like their legs were melting and there were just like lines that made up their bodies. But this woman's tits are meant to be huge and keep changing size every scene she's in because the mangaka doesn't know how to draw them.
I enjoy the difference in criticism of this scene.
I think it's a pile of shit already, but I've got the second point of that. Okay, adding the scene was I personally think is a terrible idea and is jarring, disturbing, and really, really awkward. But if you're looking at why would this scene be involved? Oh, so we can have a woman with big tits be sexually assaulted because I don't know, some people are into that. You fuck that up as well because it's not even sexy. There's no way this is sexy because your art is shit. You
know what I find funny in this scene? That that knowing like he's just gonna leave her and plow through to another room.
Yeah, no, I have no doubt that is exactly what happened. If she's not addressed, I'm going to assume she was there, tied up and starved to death.
She's gonna be the Hannibal of Black Clover. She's just left in a room tied up somewhere.
Hello? Can I be
yeah.
rescued now, please?
Hi, Mr. Popowitz.
So,
I'd like to come down now.
So apparently, and I still don't know how this is possible, the attack was a surprise on the Eye of the Midnight Sun. I don't know how. They've had 2 months to prepare for this.
Can we also address how their hidden secret base is literally just a rock floating in the, like, a massive fuck off rock floating?
That's what I was gonna say, which is like, hey guys, should we the king just announced, first of all, screamed to his entire kingdom that he knows exactly where we are. Yeah, but he probably doesn't. Who would ever think to look for a villain group in a giant floating castle in the middle of a ravine?
Also, he's fucked up the artist has fucked up the perspective as well. That rock doesn't look big enough to contain the dungeon it actually does.
I guess it is just rock magic. But
yeah.
The dude who's like, okay, I can just create a map of anything.
So fucking bullshit.
I guess. I mean, like, okay, yeah, that's a pretty useful power. But then the moment where Leona? What's her name?
Yes.
Leona. Is like, all right, here's the plan. Do whatever the fuck you want. Cheers! And just like...
That was so Black Clover. I can't be asked to write a decent story or plan for this to work. I'm just going to do it because it looks apparently cool. Was such Black Clover writing that
I'm looking at the panel where you complained about the perspective, and now I'm kind of okay. These trees look really fucking huge compared to the
trees
to the
are
people.
huge.
To the people around, that are in the forest.
So it looks like the trees are closer to us than the people. Despite the fact that the people are drawn closer but smaller.
Yeah,
the rock is drawn in about the same line as the trees, and only about twice as large as the trees.
And the trees actually kind of look normal size if you don't look at the people there, since the leaves the size of the leaves doesn't indicate that.
Yeah. What the fuck is with this art? Why do people think this is good?
Oh dear. Oh. Anything else to mention?
The villain reveal at the end of the guy in the Midnight Sun was okay. Why is this a shock to anybody?
That's what Fauna had as well, right?
Yeah, they all had a third eye. So, yeah, the guy who's part of the Midnight Sun has a third eye. The thing that was surprising because Langris had it and was therefore like, oh my god, that's a thing the Midnight Sun had. It's like, why is this why?
I mean, I'm not expecting every chapter to have a cliffhanger. So,
no, this isn't Promised Neverland.
For me, though, what I will say, I really like the moment with Mario Leona and Nozel. I think that's a good moment where both of them sort of simultaneously attacking villains while thinking back to Fuego Leon. So, like, my rival, my brother, something like that. That juxtaposition is cool, and that does actually give... To me, that does actually give a moment of, okay, this is what we're fighting for. That seems cool to me. It's just surrounded by some stuff that I don't think is quite as good.
Yeah, that was nice.
Mm-hmm. I like that. That was good.
So, if this is all, so let's move on to The Promised Neverland. Chapter 65. So, called it, Goldie Pond is another farm. Well, maybe less of a farm and more of a safari zone where the humans roam freely to be hunted by.
That's the best description of it. It's the safari zone from Pokemon.
The humans roam freely to be hunted by wealthy demons in search of a HM-free surf. Well, maybe the comparison doesn't hold up as well as I would have wanted to, but you get the idea. So what do you think?
Right. I'm sure if we throw enough food at these kids, they'll be a little bit more okay with being eaten. That's how that works, right?
It looks like this entire place was designed by the child catcher from Chitty Chitty Bang.
It's amazing how often that guy's come up on this podcast.
Yeah.
So, first question. Who wrote the message on Emma's palm?
I don't think we have any way of knowing yet.
Creepy girl in the background, maybe?
Very possibly.
Yeah, but which by the way, I thought she was Norman at first. And
I'm still waiting to see when the fuck he comes back into the story.
You guys are going to be waiting a long time.
I know, because that was set up very specifically to be like, we never saw him die. The last thing we saw was him entering a room being shocked by what he saw inside. Not scared, shocked. Just like, if he's dead, that entire thing got shafted so
There's
badly.
no way he's dead. There's no way he's dead.
I'm waiting to see him come back as a demon and find out that that's what happens to the males that survive the farms.
We'll see.
Okay, so
I wish I had more to say about the chapter, but it's good. I like it. I just don't know what to say. This is pretty intense right now.
Yeah,
it's sorry.
Apart from Norman becoming a White Walker, it's definitely this arc is definitely an opportunity to meet new characters and for Emma to be in a new environment instead of just interacting with Ray all the time. I'm curious to see what the new kids' deal is going to be and how they manage to survive. Well, if they don't get eaten next chapter.
What's the deal with getting eaten by demons?
Yeah. It was good, creepy setup. There's no mystery at the moment because we've just been given questions but no possibility for answers. So I'm gonna look to see where we go from here. I'm optimistic because this is a lot of good possibility for good Promised Neverland writing, but it's too early to tell.
I think it's a great bit of world building, honestly, and that's sort of. It is a lot of the appeal of Promised Neverland is sort of slowly finding little bits about this world that we didn't know before, and in this case, it's really good because after finding out that big exposition dump about here's what the world is, it's actually pretty cool that we can still get little surprises like this along the way.
Yeah. And it makes sense that Sungcio would still like to for the kids to break the promise, since I don't suppose he'd be wealthy enough to participate in a great hunt in Goldie Pond. So yeah.
By the way, is there a demon with a top hat?
I'm checking.
Maybe I could be wrong. I think maybe I'm almost positive though that at one point when we saw one of the things of these are the rich demons that go to this pond, I think one of them might be wearing a top hat.
It's not quite a top hat. It looks like one of those floppy broad brimmed hats with a bit more starch in it. But I'm
hoping it turns out to be a top hat.
Yeah.
I really want demons in top hats.
That would be fucking cool.
And just
I'm
a
not gonna
freaking
lie.
monocle. Oh god.
Also, can we address how weird the new person's face is? For a normally realistic art style, he has weird anime eyes.
Is that a boy? I couldn't tell.
His nose looks like it's about an inch higher up his face than it should be for where his eyes are. And the eyes are low. It's weird.
I'm gonna refer to them as they until we get a confirmation. But yeah, I guess they just look a bit unemotional.
Oh, fair enough. It just struck me as I was looking at that picture. It's like, this is weird.
Yeah, we've had many characters be scared a lot throughout the manga. So the irises are drawn a bit smaller than normal. So maybe this is just back to normal, and just we're not realizing it.
Mm.
I'm just hoping this isn't a Hunger Games thing.
I don't see the demon with the top hat, but okay.
One sec, I'll try to look for the page specifically as we move. If we're moving on, I'll look specifically for that one.
Maybe it's just the scans, but yeah, all right then. So, anything else to mention, or shall we move on to We Never Learn?
Yeah, let's go to We Never Learn.
Okay, so We Never Learn, chapter 41. So I have two problems with this chapter. One, the pedophilia, and two, and this is the more serious one, it's against school regulations to buy food and eat it on the way home? Are you kidding me? If you're doing it outside school, how can it be against school regulation? What is even the logic behind it?
This is the worst school I've ever heard about, by the way.
It's a very Japanese way of a thing about if you're wearing the school uniform, you're still under school rules so long as you are wearing it, because whatever you do reflects back on the school. That was weird. The pedophilia is weird, but yeah.
And as we know, if there's one thing students don't need, it's food. So.
Yeah, that's another problem with the Japanese education system.
There's no way that we could ever assume that students going to high school, them eating just casts such an awful light on us. The idea that our students eat, it's horrible for our branding.
I mean, we just look at Yuiga. Okay, he's fine with breadcrumbs, so that's everybody, right?
Yeah. Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Nope, never heard of it. Students can come to school hungry and work completely fine.
It's also Yuiga says it's summer vacation, right?
Yeah.
Okay, maybe it's Yuiga, so maybe he just doesn't. Does he not own another shirt? Like, just put on a different shirt than to eat the ice cream.
That is a good point.
Also, how can school regulations even be a thing if it's summer vacation?
Which is also
a holiday.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, holiday. Holiday, British vocab. Sorry.
Also, when Yuiga is bringing over the ice cream, it does look like the teacher is just about to stab him in the face with. She looks so dead inside at that moment.
It's great. No, I do like that moment because she's very. The weird thing about this chapter is the joke they're trying to do is her trying to maintain this professional relationship as the teacher as the universe conspires against it. And if you're from the student perspective, that's hilarious because teachers are just people too. If you're from the adult perspective, just no, there is a reason for this divide between authority and familiarity. This chapter gets really weird and creepy.
It's a little creepy, and it's also, look, I get that maybe the school uniform thing is a little odd. This is probably the least skimpy outfit she's been made to wear in this entire manga. So
this is true. Now I didn't put it two and two together that it's a school holiday because I was looking at the ice cream scene, and because they're trying to do the thing of, this is the things that happened at school, and Kirisu didn't have her youth. All the girls at the ice cream stall are also wearing school uniforms during the summer holidays.
Wait.
Ogata isn't though.
No.
As when she shows up.
I don't think Funmino is either.
No, not those two. The three of them in the background when they're walking past the ice cream store. There are three unnamed girls who are enjoying ice cream in the Sailor Moon school uniforms.
Wait, you're right. What the hell?
Yeah, what the fuck? It's just it's one of the things, but it's summer holidays, so this doesn't matter. So why is everyone in a school uniform then? What the fuck? Like, I was wondering if it was like, Uega was just like, I'm too poor to own any other clothes. It's like, oh, that's depressing as fuck. But it's like, why is everyone in school uniforms? This makes no sense.
Wow. Yeah. I'm guessing Stockholm syndrome to the school. I don't know. All right then. Anything else to add, or shall we move on to Dr. Stone?
I did really enjoy Furuhashi seeing the two of the image of them making out and freaking the fuck out because of it. That was very funny. It's like two people kissing. Ah!
Ah!
Wasn't it a monster? No, it was worse. Worse than a monster!
Yeah.
I just love the idea that had she told Ogata what was happening, Ogata was like, "Oh, excellent! I will observe for my research."
Great.
I just find this chapter minorly creepy, but that's just me.
Oh no, it is. But I think I agree. It's creepy, but I can enjoy it.
I mean, I don't really know, I guess, how the Japanese school system works. So are they supposed to be 18, or I don't bloody know? But
I think then they are in the final year, so they are meant to be 17, 18.
Okay, so
which is actually interesting.
That makes it a little less creepy. All right then.
Age-wise, yes. Teacher-student-wise, no.
Yeah, so that's still iffy. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Stone?
Mm-hmm.
Dr. Stone, chapter 37. Okay, so this chapter has what I wish would happen last week, building Magma up as, still a force to be reckoned with. And it looks like Magma's balls remain untouched for the time being, but Gen's appearance may be a turning point to this. So my theory remains that...
Sorry. But that does have the cause and effect thing. It's like, when Gen's here, there's no way his balls will remain untouched. Like, that has horrible implications.
I love that. I also love the counterpoint between building up Magma by amazing cinematography and drawing styles, and then just destroying Ginro by showing it this is how he imagines it. This is what actually happened. And also how everyone's dialogue is still exactly the same.
Yeah.
Oh god.
Ginro I'm not entirely sure how Ginro won anyway, because the comedy panel of the guy's back is 20 feet away from the edge. Ginro teleports in, and so does he off the edge, and he falls down into the ocean. And then he has to go shit himself. Which is weird, because I don't think he made it there from the image we see later.
Poor guy.
The pixelation is awkward, because I'm not sure if they're pixelating his junk or the shit he landed in.
Well, I mean, oh god, maybe they should have just worked with this guy, whoever that was, whoever was fighting against Ginro. I don't remember his name. But maybe they should have researched him. Maybe he would be a good husband to Ruri.
That is a good point. Ginro should have thrown that match so we have a chance now. We just buff this guy as much as we physically can.
Yeah, and then maybe then maybe kind of blackmail him or something along those lines. If you can't reason with Magma, then yeah.
Yeah, literally anyone in this town, I think the decision is that anyone in this town is better than Magma, because he's not actively going to try and kill.
So my theory now remains that Magma will still beat Chrome, and we'll have the finals with Senku. How about you guys?
I'm pretty sure. I don't know. I feel like it's probably going to just go that Chrome's going to set him on fire, just because I think that sounds awesome.
I mean, it wouldn't be Chrome, because we've established that the lanes don't work like that. But if someone's gonna set him on fire, it's gonna be Gen.
But if Gin sets him on fire, that's Chrome instantly loses because that's intervention from the outside.
Well, it depends on whether Jasper sees that or not. Because Jasper won't understand how lens works.
Interestingly, this was a really interesting thing. Just like it all depends on how concave or convex the lenses are. It's like we're getting oddly specific for this one thing to magically happen.
Yeah. We'll see how it goes. I'm enjoying it though. This was a fun chapter that then got really real toward the end.
Yeah.
Just the scene of Ginro waking up and kind of just like, oh, I really hope Chrome is still alive.
Well, back to sleep.
Yeah, it's just like, holy, yeah, just the, like, from the jokes we get of Ginro being like, here's how it could look, here's how I think it looks, and then cutting to the actual proper use of those stars with Chrome between Magma's legs to make him just look so tiny compared to how huge Magma is. The scene of him rushing forward, it looks like he's made contact, just to cut to just Magma in silhouette with Chrome on the floor. It's just like, he nearly made it, but Magma just swung down like it was nothing.
Yeah.
It's very well drawn and powerful.
Yeah, as is the last panel, really. With just his bloody face.
And there's one thing I was reading through again and didn't realize the first time. The bit when Magma also shows how much of a shit he is. The idea that he's going to wail on Chrome while never quite letting him lose until Rory begs for him to lose. That's messed up, man. That's just like, I don't, like, as Chrome says, it's like, you're unexpectedly perceptive for being a musclehead. It's like, this is a plan that seems slightly possibly too twisted for Magma to come up with by himself. This is messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh,
but
God.
Yeah, apart from that, we'll see next week.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is an excellent chapter. This is a great week of manga in general. I love the One Piece chapter. My Hero goes without saying, and this is excellent. So yeah,
I saw them as good build chapters.
Yeah.
If they build to where we think they're going to, they will be excellent. But yeah.
So that is going to do it for this week of Stammer Stream. Thank you for watching, either on my YouTube channel or live at twitch.tv/Wensleydale Cheddar. We usually try to record on Saturdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, which I don't know if it's a horrendous time for Nova to wake up or not.
It's not too bad. It's just one of my few days off. It's okay. It's fine.
Oh, sorry.
Don't worry about it. I'm good.
Okay, so 3 p.m. GMT and 4 p.m. GMT+1, although every few weeks we may move to Monday to let Grail in on the action, or Tuesday. You can follow me on Twitter at Cheddar for updates on the stream on Penganta, Well Triggered, Friendly Faces Everywhere, and many other projects. Follow Milo at Hoven with an H for anime waifus, Cabal Hijinks, Cabalcast, which is definitely coming, guys. Trial by Guilty Crown, a podcast he does with Kastor, and Trial by Death Note, a Drunkcast he did with me.
Trial by Guilty Crown is going to be getting in soon because we essentially hit the climax of the series and where it should end at episode 12, and there are 25 episodes in this series. It's like, but you've hit a really good ending point. Where else are you going to go? The answer is downhill and very quickly.
So you hear that, guys? It's in the description below, so give it a watch. Follow Grail at Nuclear Android for gaming tweets, World Conquest, complaints about job and stuff. Follow Dr. Nova at Jonah Left Snow for the Danganronpa podcast, which you can now see on the Team ODA R main channel. And Barnaby, how's your novel going?
It's going pretty well. Yeah. No, yeah, it's going well. I've got like the structure down for the first one. There is a page on my computer, and it is very well filled in, and I'm happy. It's really not interesting.
Okay then. Want to give us any spoilers, something along those lines, just to draw the readers in?
Well, yeah, you guys will care. No one else will, because my deuteragonists are essentially Felix and Kane 2.0.
Oh. They were
I mean, my
interesting
novel
characters
is
in their own
Tomaki's
right.
adventures, so...
They are. Well, Kane is actually now a character in her own right, because I was like going through, just like, hang on, Felix just has so much stuff, and Kane is defined by Felix. Okay, let's cut Felix's backstory in half and give it to both of them. Oh, Kane's really interesting now. Holy shit, Felix is sympathetic. What was I doing before?
All right then.
Yeah, I mean, my novel's mostly just Tamaki's story, heavily edited, so...
And I don't have a novel.
Aww.
Maybe I'll write something next year. Once again, cheers for watching, and we will see you next week. Take care. Lemon
Bye.
curry?